The next example is stress testing. It's similar to the advanced analysis, sensitivity analysis. Uh, the the motivation for doing a stress test is, when you do a regular simulation analysis, you get your tornado graphs and your spider charts. Tornado graphs is each input arranged in decreasing order of variability in the output value for changes in the input value. So you start, input values are arranged from the lowest to the highest, okay, in deciles. So it will be like 10% variability, 10% percentile variations, and then we see where the output falls. So you really, the thing that's useful is the bandwidth from the lowest to the highest in terms of the output, and then which variable has the largest variability in the output value, and which one has the next lowest variability, and so on. So while that is very useful, it doesn't actually give you an opportunity to look at a particular range of input values and what happens to the output in that range. The same thing in spider chart. Of course, it gives, you can tell exactly what's happening on each decile. So for the first 10 percentile, and then the second decile, and the third decile, and so on. You can look at the graph. But we probably, stress test, what it does is that it takes a particular data range and then it runs a simulation for that data range and then gives you output for that particular data range. This is particularly useful if you have a data range that results in extreme values in the output. So for example, the lowest percentile or the highest percentile, tail areas generally speaking. So stress testing allows exploring how the outputs are affected when the inputs are at the extreme values, okay, the lower tail or the upper tail. So here are the things that we need to specify in terms of for stress testing. So where what cell to focus on, that's your output cell, total profitability, and then we're going to look at and one more thing, the stress testing is done only for probability distribution. So there are only two input distributions. The admissions price is not a distribution. It's a negotiated price, even though you could model it, but we are not going to do that. We're going to look at only two input distributions, one for increase in movies per month, and then the sensitivity to subscribe, and then we can specify what range you want. You want stress test to be done on the lower end of the range or the higher end of the range, and like. And for our example, we're going to use stress testing for the high end for both distributions. So let's head on over to Excel. Okay, so here is our model, and go to at risk. Let's make sure that the settings are okay. Oh no, it's disabled here, so let's make it automatic and fixed and one. Okay, and we set the model up slightly differently, if you remember way back, and that's the reason why our numbers and our charts are not going to be the same as in the textbook. Okay, so now you go to simulate, do stress analysis. Okay, now the cell to monitor, okay, click that, is the total profit. Okay, now we add where you want to do the stress test. So here the first one we want is E12, that's increase in movies per month, and we can give a different name if you like, but that's fine. And you want the stress test to be done on the low values, which means it will go from 0 to the 5th percentile. So that's where the simulation will be repeated. or you can have stress high values, and then you can do a stress custom range of values, and then substitute a function or distribution. You can have different distributions, but we will look at, in this example, stress test on the high values, which means we're going to concentrate in the upper tail, 95% to 100 percentile. Okay. Click OK, and then you add one more, again, distribution and E13, and that as well will do stress test for high values. Okay, and then you can go into options, then say what kind of reports we want. You want new workbook or in the same workbook as additional sheets. Okay, we're going to just keep all the defaults. Okay, and then analyze it. If you want to go back and delete or edit or add more, you can do that. So click analyze. So it says, okay, we're going to do 3 simulations. So you want to continue this stress analysis. You say okay. Okay, a new workbook is created, and you can save it. Then you have a summary report, and again the 3 well, so you have the baseline. Okay, baseline is automatically selected, which is the default values in the Excel sheet, and then you have the increase in E12, and then increase in the increase in the movies per month in E12, and then the consumer sensitivity in E13, and the stress analysis is in what range, 95% to 100% for both of them, and you have the summary output, statistical output. Okay, of course, looking at these numbers, it's kind of hard to get a hang of it. So here we have the mean of the actual value. So we have the profit. So this is the baseline. Okay. So when you increase the movies per month, increase in movies per month, okay, from 95 to 100%, when you simulate that, okay, this is this is the kind of profit that you end up with. Okay, which is well, these are all losses, so you end up with a lot more losses, because you have subscribers taking advantage of the movie pass at the highest level, so 95 to 100% level. The same here, so there is more loss than the baseline. So these are the levels of loss that we are exposed to. So it gives you an idea of what the worst case scenarios could be. And so here is a standard deviation of the inputs. Yeah, I mean standard deviation of the output value. Okay, and for the baseline and for the simulation of the 95th to 100 percentile of increase in MSM, and same for sensitivity. And then here is the 5th percentile of profit. Okay, so and the 90. So this is the worst of the worst case, and the 95th percentile is the best of the worst case, I guess. And then we have the mean. Standard deviation, again, the change from baseline, because we have all kinds of charts here. And then we have the box plot for the baseline. This is the profit for the baseline, and then for the increase in movies per month, and then the sensitivity.